32 Bar and Grill is hosting a Four Nations Face-Off watch party on February 13th at 5 p.m. Join us to cheer on Kaapo Kakko as Team USA battles Team Finland. Featuring Finnish food and drink specials, Kaapo signed Kraken gear, and the best hockey atmosphere around. For more info, go to KrakenCommunityIceplex.com. Join the new Kraken Kids Club Sea Patrol, presented by Delta Dental of Washington. Sign up for free and get access to quarterly newsletters, partner discounts, priority access to special events, and more. Sign up at seattlekraken.com/Sea Patrol.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Signals from the Deep, the official podcast of your Seattle Kraken. As always, Piper Shaw here with you, with JT Brown and producer extraordinaire Grant Beery. How we doing, guys?
Fantastic, right?
It's cold. So
No,
cold.
it's not cold yet.
It's like 35. I was fine. I'm not wearing like a thick coat.
I got a sweatshirt on and sweatpants. That's all I wore today.
And it's been sunny.
It's colder
That
than
helps.
usual. That's what I'll say.
All right, okay, I'll give you that.
I've gotten complacent moving. You know, I've lived in Minnesota. I've lived in Colorado. I've gotten very complacent since I moved here. So the snow is a bit of a shock. So
I feel like we were just on the road in Canada.
yeah.
Edmonton was pretty chilly when we were there.
Pittsburgh was
Pittsburgh,
cold. When
yeah,
we were
yeah,
in Pittsburgh,
yeah.
it was like -11 when we were leaving for the game.
So we still see some of those like frigid temperatures.
okay.
So like coming back to Seattle, even though yes, it may be cold, it's not as cold as something we just experienced. So
I'm spoiled.
It keeps the skin thick enough, because I do agree, since moving here from Minnesota / Wisconsin, my tolerance for the cold has gone way, way, way down.
Mm-hmm.
But we do, because we travel, we do get out and get re-exposed to that, which makes me very grateful. And when we landed after the Winnipeg game, I remember we were all getting off the plane, and it's like, 2 a.m. or something like that in Seattle, and it was like 45 degrees, and it felt so good. And we were all like, oh my gosh, it's so nice here on the tarmac. We're like, oh, this feels great.
Right. Yeah. I remember when I lived in Minnesota, the day I decided to move back to Colorado, I was standing waiting for the bus to go to work, and it was -40 with wind chill. I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore.
So that brings up a great point that we were talking about a little bit before we started recording, which is it has been snowing in Seattle, which I love, because it's, for me, not been enough snow to be like disruptive to life, and just it's been pretty, and it's not enough to be slushy and gray and gross and, all up with the negative parts of snow.
Yeah.
But there have been, JT, you said your kid's school was delayed a little bit, some hangups with the snow.
2-hour delay today. Wow. Yeah, so they have a home day. And I woke up, I got the text and it says no school or 2-hour delay. And then they end up doing like iPad or like tablet learning with the school as well. So there's like 2 bones. First was like, it wasn't enough.
2 bones. He's got 2 bones to pick.
Yeah. Let me just get the first one out of the way. There just wasn't enough snow. Other places, I'm thinking more north of where I live, got a lot more snow, and maybe it was needed to have the snow day, but it wasn't enough snow. The roads were completely clear. I didn't see any snow, not even really on the sidewalk, unless somebody went out and shoveled my sidewalk early this morning, that I doubt they did. Maybe I got a really nice neighbor. Let me know if that was you and you're listening, but I just didn't think it warranted a snow day. But then the other side of it was like, all right, well, in Minnesota, when we finally got it really wasn't snow days. It was cold days. It was because of those -40 wind chill days that school was canceled. It was an off day.
Right.
Like you got to stay home, have fun. Like
we didn't have tablets.
Yeah.
when we
Now
were
they
kids.
they still have to go and so you have to sign in. You have to go on. Like teachers going to end up having, some form of class and still have online learning. And I'm like, that's not really a snow day. That's not like what I remember as being like, yes, this is a day off. Right. Going to sit down. We're going to watch TV. We're going to do it. I mean, if it wasn't -40, you'd be out playing in the snow. I lived in a cul-de-sac, so it was awesome. You have like the snow mountain when the plow
building
went
like an
through
igloo.
Yeah,
with the snow drift.
So I think of snow day as like the best day ever. You got to completely away from school. We were outside playing. All your friends were outside. And then I'm like, they don't even get that. They still have to do school, but not at school. So those are my two bones. Like, again, it's a little different here. Plow situation's different than Minnesota. Still getting used to that side of it, but
you can't make snow an excuse in Minnesota because it's just such a way of life that you just have to figure out how you're going to get around it. But to the negative 40 temperatures point, you can't stand outside for the bus. And I remember that always being what people said, is that they're like, we literally, and it would be an all day thing too. You couldn't just delay because it's still cold at 3 p.m. It's still too cold to be like, I'm going to send my 6-year-old out to wait for the bus in negative 40 degrees. Like, it's like, you literally can't be outside. But I have a rebuttal as well on the iPad situation. I do agree. It was the best, when you had an actual snow day as a kid, because you could go out and play in the snow, versus as I got older, we had less and less snow days. And every time that they would cancel school because of the cold days, which I think when I was like in 9th grade, I believe we had like 6 or 7 days that were completely canceled because of cold days. Wow. They just add them on at the end of the school year. So in Minnesota, you're supposed to be done with school like the first week of June, like June 2nd or 3rd normally. And we had a year that we went to like June 14th or something like that because we had to add on so many cold days. So in that way, if you can preserve the school day and the learning, even if you're doing it from home, it kind of helps. Because I was like, I don't know. I feel like I would have preferred, in hindsight, to be able to like not have all my summer days eaten up by having to make up for all the days that I was not allowed to leave the house or I would die,
Future consequences,
I remember being close a couple of times to having to add on. And I don't know if this is perfectly correct, but like I thought there was like an allotted amount of days. Like there has to be a certain amount of days. So they built in a few of them. They know that it's going to be cold and it's going to be, either a half day or it's going to be a fully canceled day. So they kind of worked that in. But I do remember a few times, I think it actually might have even been like my senior year, and was just so upset that they were getting ready to add on one more day. And I was like, no, this is the worst.
I remember that year that I'm talking about, like they had to add on a bunch because it was just an insanely cold year. And I remember that year. It was a very dark year of my life. Plus I was 14. So, just add that on top of it.
Crisis.
It was really bad. Yeah, it was a really dark time. Plus it's dark in Minnesota in the winter on top of it. But so I remember it was like a big news story and like a whole thing, because they were like, well, it's still cold. It's still cold. We're getting blizzards in April. And they were like, well.
Seattle school goes long as well. If I remember correctly, Minnesota's way earlier. I think they're like mid to end June.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
So it's like already, watch, I'm going to be wrong on this one, but I feel like.
You have kids, you should know this.
You're the authority.
I was worried about golfing at that point in time. So, no, I mean, they get into camps and everything else throughout the summer. So it all just really blends from school to like going into school camps and different stuff there. So, but I do remember that it was a lot longer. I remember my niece in Minnesota had been done for like 2 weeks already, and they were still going to school. So I think the school year is already longer here. So the iPad learning definitely helps in that situation.
Yeah.
Well, all of this being said, all of our snow rambling, or all of our weather reflecting, brings us to the fact that we only have one more game before a 2-week break here in the NHL for the Four Nations. So that's going to be fun. The Four Nations face off. I think that's going to be really fun to watch, all of just the best on best of those 4 countries. But it's also good. As you will hear later in the show, we talked with Jaden Schwartz about everybody getting a chance to like reset, rest up a little bit, both mentally, physically. I know for me, catching up on just life things, that time is very, very valuable, because during the season when you're working every single game and you're, traveling and everything, it's really hard to keep up with basic things like going to the doctor and doing your laundry. And that sounds crazy, but like, I'm looking forward to that. But we are going to talk about our plans over the break a little bit later in the episode. But before we get to that, obviously, if we're going to talk about Four Nations, we now have, the Seattle Kraken have, rather, a representative in the Four Nations tournament. Kaapo Kakko, he's been such a fun addition to watch to this team. I feel like, we've talked about him so much on the broadcast. But JT, just what does that kind of opportunity you imagine kind of mean for him? And what have you thought about how he's been playing lately?
Well, I mean, first, the opportunity, anytime you get to represent your country, it's, a sense of pride, and to be able to do that on the big stage, obviously the 4 teams, and, playing the best on best between them. And, an opportunity to continue to grow and to get on I guess more than national. He's been in the national stage already before, but this is the first time they're doing the Four Nations. So it's got to be a special feeling to be able to be picked for your country and, be able to represent them. And, just being able to watch him during that time, I think obviously if you're going to watch the games, it's going to be a fun thing. But I think as a Kraken fan, now that you have a vested interest, a player to tune into those games and another reason to watch, it's going to be awesome. Obviously seeing him move over from New York, what that transition was like, and getting a new look, right?
Yeah.
And a new opportunity with Seattle, and to see him flourish in that position. Obviously this is going to be fun to see him go against the best and see him in that type of competition as well. But I mean, you just look at what he's been able to do for Seattle since coming over. He's got 5 goals, 12 assists, 17 points, more than he had in New York with less time. So it's almost like a new lease on life for him, and to be able to refine that game, refine that confidence. And we talk all the time on the broadcast, like you said, about how good that line has been, how good he has been, and, just watching that chemistry flourish. But again, it'd be fun to see, with his country mates, and to be able to watch, how he plays in this tournament. So for me, already was going to end up watching,
right.
As many games as possible, throughout the break. But at the same time, now that you have a player, it's going to be, even more special to be able to watch and see how he continues to grow. And again, if he does anything like he's been doing in Seattle, right, I'm sure he's going to be very successful throughout the tournament. But no, he's been fun to watch, and a real good move by Ron Francis to be able to pick him up.
I would like to think that there's a renewed confidence perhaps in, the success that he's been having with playing with Maddie and Jaden Schwartz. And maybe that will carry over a little bit. I like to think that we've given him a spark here, maybe a little bit in Seattle, and then that could help push him a little bit on this stage for us.
Oh, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun event. And again, happy to be able to just sit back and watch, and, now have somebody on the Kraken as well to be able to kind of hone in and make sure you focus in on those games as well.
Well, I think my job as a producer, I should give people the kind of the administrative information about the tournament in case they want to watch.
Great call.
Four Nations Face-Off. It's going to be held in Montreal and Boston starting on Wednesday the 12th. There'll be games on the 12th, 13th, 15th, 17th, and 20th. You can watch all of them on either TNT or ESPN. ESPN Plus. Looks like there's going to be games on ABC as well. And if you want to watch Kaapo Kakko, the first chance you will get is going to be Thursday the 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern against the United States. And the 4 teams, in case you haven't been following, Finland, United States, Canada, and Sweden. It'll be a round-robin tournament with the championship taking place on Thursday the 20th. So tune in. We'll also be having a watch party at 32 Bar and Grill as well, so you can watch Kaapo Kakko. And just go to KrakenCommunityIceplex.com for details about that.
And Grant, you had just shared with me before we started recording that at the watch party, they will be serving salmon soup, allegedly, which for folks who maybe don't know, I know that is a very popular food in Finland. And I've talked to Ellie Tolvanen about salmon soup multiple times and how it's kind of hard to find in the States and all that. And I guess that Chef Brandon learned how. I would assume he probably already knew how, but has been making salmon soup for the Finns, and that they'll be serving it at the watch party. So that's kind of awesome. Yeah, he found out that Kaapo did an interview with KJR and mentioned how much he misses this soup. So Chef Brandon got to work, found a good recipe, and he and his staff put it together. And I actually got to try some, and it's really fantastic. Awesome.
So if you're here for the watch party, I would definitely recommend getting a bowl of it because it's really good. And Kaapo said it's very good, but not as good as his. So
good soup. Good soup.
Than's for the invite. I didn't get an invite to try this soup.
Oh, I just happened to be walking by the kitchen.
Grant's very popular. He's well connected. He's got the inside track with a lot of folks around here that we are not privileged enough to.
My phone bill's paid, and I didn't see a text message or a phone call that we were going to be able to try this meal. And
hey, I'm moving and shaking around this building all the time, fixing computers and TVs and stuff like that. And every now and then you run into some soup.
Yeah, good soup. Good soup.
Fringe benefit.
Okay.
Also, everyone, like I mentioned earlier, we did talk with Jaden Schwartz. He talks a little bit about playing with Kaapo Kakko and Maddie Beniers as well. So I thought he had some good insight there. So more Kaapo talk later in the pod.
Absolutely.
But for now, we're going to move into talking about what we are going to be up to over the Four Nations break, because it does connect to what we're going to talk about the rest of the podcast here. JT, would you like to share what your plans are?
Yes, Lexi, Booker, and Lily and I, so the family is going to go down to Disneyland. So we're going to be able to split a little bit of time with Universal, but also Disneyland and then California Adventure as well. It's a fun experience, obviously, getting to do that again with the kids and know that they love it. And I love it too. So it's kind of selfishly, I'm like, yeah, I want to go. Why not? So I'm not going to say no to an opportunity to take a vacation down to Disney. And obviously it's just a lot of fun. Piper, you and I had already gone this year as well. So
yeah. Are you guys staying at the Grand Californian?
Yep.
And then you guys went 2 years ago, or did you just go last year again? Okay, last year.
The original plan, though, just based on the schedule after the break, was to go to Disney World.
Right.
Being in Florida after the break, a little bit easier travel-wise right after, and kind of just have the vacation lead into, coming back from break. But they're not done with the Nintendo, like Mario at Disney World yet at Universal. I think it's like March, I want to say, or somewhere around.
No, so the Nintendo Land at...
Piper's our expert, though.
Yeah,
just so if you don't know, Piper is the resident Disney expert around here, so she knows all the information. So I'm glad to be fact-checked here.
Okay, well, yeah. So for those of you who don't know, I actually have another podcast that is called Where the Magic Happens, which is a theme park podcast. So where we just talk about like literally theme parks, but also Disney music and Disney history, as well as Universal and Universal movies and stuff like that. Like we do like movie reviews, like a whole bunch of stuff. But anyways, point is, yes, I know way too much about niche things like this.
Hey, own it, embrace it.
Universal Orlando is building a third park called Epic Universe, which is supposed to open, I believe, in June, which is like earlier than it was supposed to, but they have a Nintendo Land coming
March,
there.
June, same thing.
Sure. But they have a Nintendo Land that is coming into that new park, but they already have the Nintendo Land at Universal Hollywood. But the Nintendo Land in the Orlando park is going to be better. They're going to have a Donkey Kong roller coaster where you jump the track and stuff. It's going to be pretty sick.
Well, with the kids and everything, right? Like the flight from Seattle to Florida, a lot longer.
Totally.
If we're not able to do, obviously Booker would love to be able to go to the Nintendo World and to go to the new rides, the new attractions. And it just didn't work out timing wise. So maybe next year, if the Kraken are somewhere on the East Coast, maybe that will be the option for them. So Disneyland, again, I think even just with the young kids, it's a nice...
That's what I was going to say, is I also think that like Disney World, and if you're doing Universal Orlando on top of it, could be, your kids are still pretty young. So I feel
they still get tired. Obviously, it's a full day.
Maybe
that's why
2
staying there is
years,
nice.
they'll have a little more stamina.
I feel like I'd get really tired too.
Oh yeah,
that's a lot of walking.
Well, you train up, right? You train up. You walk. You're like, okay, I got to work my way up to be able to walk marathon, 20 miles a day. Yeah, that's what I do.
Pushing the stroller around because the kids get tired. Although eventually, I mean, they're getting old enough to ditch the stroller soon, but that's another question down the line. But how about you, Piper? What are you doing during the break?
Well, so my very best friend on the face of the planet is getting married. She's getting married on February 15th. She could not have picked a better day, literally smack dab in the middle of this break. I'm like, Maddie, you did this for me, didn't you? No, she did not. But she lives in Florida. She lives in Boca Raton, but she's getting married in Fort Lauderdale. Okay. On February 15th, our first game back from the break is February 22nd against the Florida Panthers in where? Sunrise, Florida, basically Fort Lauderdale. So I will be flying out there. I am obviously in her wedding and hanging out with her family and everything. And then me and my husband are going to go take the Bright Line train up to Orlando. I've got a bunch of friends that live in Orlando too. And we're going to do some theme park stuff, but I'm kind of to the point where like we don't really like rope drop parks anymore and do like 16-hour days, because my husband also grew up going. I did not grow up going to Disney, but he did, and so he has done everything 10,000 times. So we're also adults. So anyways, we booked a bunch of like dining reservations at really nice restaurants and like going with friends and stuff like that. We are going to go to Universal for a day. Because he's never ridden the ET ride there, because I don't know what he thought it was, but he didn't like it. And then I went and rode it when I was there in September, and I was like, no, this is my new favorite thing.
What is the ET ride?
It's the ET ride. You're like on a bike, and it's like a classic dark ride, but you're like floating through it. But Steven Spielberg actually like designed this ride and worked with Universal to make it. So it's very unique. And they like take your name at the beginning. They ask you what your name is, and they give you like a name tag, and then they say your name like on the ride. It's not like it's like some crazy roller coaster, and it's been there since the 90s. So it's not like, but it's just very awesome. Plus, I do love Harry Potter. I know you love Harry Potter too, JT. So I like hitting the Harry Potter rides, and we don't go to Universal as much. So I also anticipate that once that third park in Orlando opens up, Universal is going to be probably really expensive and very, very busy. And so I was like, we'll just go. So we're going to do one day at Epcot, which Epcot is the best, especially as an adult. It's the best. And then we're going to do one day at Universal. And then we will go see Happily Ever After one night, which is the fireworks show at the Magic Kingdom in Orlando, because that is my husband's literal favorite thing on the entire planet. We watch it all the time because he turns it on all the time. But
like from home?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He has downloaded the 4K version of the whole show because he's worried that if it ever gets copyrighted or taken off the internet, that he won't be able to watch it. So he has his copy.
So some people put up like a little like fireplace on their TV when they want to relax. You guys do fireworks show?
Well, it's not just about the fireworks. Like it's about like the music, and it's like that specific show that
so
he
it's like
likes.
a show.
It's a show. Oh
okay.
yeah. It's like a whole thing. Yeah. It's not just, you could take the fireworks away, honestly, and it would still be like a great show because it's got all these projections. And anyways.
Oh, cool. I
don't need to nerd out about this any.
I'm gonna ask him. I'm gonna ask him about it next time I'm at a men's league game.
Do it.
I don't know when that's gonna be, but when I do see him, I'm going to bring this up.
He is unashamed of it. He is very unashamed.
Well, I want to see the video. I want to see what it is. I want to see what's behind it and get a little more insight.
Has he been on your other podcast and talked about all this?
Well, so he's not like a host of it. So he has filled in like a couple times when we've had like last minute things. But actually the day that we are recording this podcast, when I'm done here, I will be recording my other podcast. And we are doing, because it is February, a Match Your Mate episode, or like a newlyweds episode. So all of us have our spouses coming on, and we are getting quizzed. Like the other person has to leave the room, and it's like, for example, what is Piper's favorite roller coaster, right? And then Jake would have to answer that question, and then vice versa. And then it's like everybody. So then we swap. So anyways, he will be on the podcast later today. But that is not the point. But JT, you did mention before how we did go to Disneyland together when we were playing Anaheim the day before we played Anaheim. We had a great day. Oh, yeah. That was one of the best days ever. Because it was like no kids, no one was there. Like the park was totally empty. It was like 65 degrees and sunny.
Oh, perfect.
We had no agenda, just riffing. It was awesome. Oh, I don't know what JT's doing. He's coughing.
I had to cough.
Oh.
I didn't have a mute button over here.
I got to get you a cough button. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't 16 hours, and you said we were not doing the 16-hour days.
No,
but it was
we were
close.
just
It was
chilling.
like 11 though.
True.
It was still a long day.
Yeah, we got there at like 10.
Yeah, somewhere between 10 and 10:30, and then left around 9:30, something like that.
Yeah, but we took our time, and we did. How many times did we do the Guardians Tower?
It was twice for sure. We did Incredicoaster twice. What else did we do? Anything else?
You narrowly beat me in Toy Story Mania.
Still won.
Narrowly. You were freaking out.
No, I was,
you were like, "Oh my God, Piper, you're gonna beat me! You couldn't believe it."
Halfway through, I had to focus up. I had to be ready to go.
You were stressed out.
I was definitely stressed out halfway through. But yeah, no, I think even one of the best ones was probably Soarin' though too. We were able to go on that, and they all were fun.
Yeah. Okay. So all of this being said, you guys, what we are doing on this episode, because JT and I are both going on somewhat Disney trips over the break here, we have both made lists of 10 Kraken players if they were Disney attractions. Mm-hmm. And I decided that I would do Walt Disney World, and he's going to do Disneyland, just so that they could be a little bit different, and we have different like options and different takes. Are you prepared for this, Grant?
No, I have never been to Disneyland, Disney World, either Universal Studios. I'm trying to think. I went to a Six Flags in Texas when I was a kid.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well then we're going to have to do a live podcast recording from the Lamplight Lounge at Disney California Adventure sometime.
Hey, count me in. Let's put it in the budget for next season. We'll make it happen.
We need park hoppers.
Yep. We're going to need cameras. We all need the head cams. Let's do it.
That.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm excited to see where this goes.
I feel like you should start, JT, because I feel like I've been rambling for a while.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start. Okay, the first one. Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be the ride formerly known as the Tower of Terror as well. Do you have any guesses? I feel like this would be an easy one.
So Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. Any guesses?
She knows the whole name.
Well, because there's another Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Disney World. Right. So I just wanted to be clear.
Okay.
All right, I'm just going to give it to you then.
All right, yeah.
Big rig.
Makes
sense. Obviously, 6'7", 257. He's you could say he's a guardian, right, for the team as well. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the Guardians of the Galaxy Tower is the tallest one. It's 199 feet because if it goes over 200, they have to put the little red blinking light on for flights to know how high it is. But so that's why they made it 199. Excuse me, 199. And so, yeah, big towering presence. I think that was an easy one for me to pick out. The next ride is going to be the swings or the carousel, which the swing, the swings ride.
Like the silly symphony swings.
Yeah,
I love those. I've got a good video of me and JT having a blast on the swings.
It's a classy ride, nothing flashy, but it doesn't ever disappoint as well. So I picked Jaden Schwartz.
Ooh,
veteran on the team, been around the block, knows what he's doing. It's a consistent ride, but also a consistent player as well.
Love it.
Third one I'm going to pick is Goofy's Flight School.
Goofy Sky School.
Oh, Sky School.
I mean, it's like the same thing. It's fine.
See,
I'm not correcting you. It's just that ride is just like
it's one.
Crazy.
It's okay for me. It's an underrated ride, right? Like,
of course
it's
you like
exciting.
it. It's so. Of course you like it.
You're on the edge. It's like flinging around. Like it's a little bit of a jerky ride, so you might end up hurting your neck if you're not ready or sliding to the sides. And I picked Tolvi as a underrated player. May not get all of the credit, throughout the games. Obviously, having himself a great year and.
It's like low-key edgy.
But he's also physical, right? Like, and he's leading the Kraken when it comes to hits. So I think of like your body morphing back and forth when you're getting jerked around on the ride. And like, it is a interesting.
That's a good one.
That was a good one for me. An interesting one. The Incredicoaster is the fourth one. I think it's a fan favorite ride, right? One of the best rides when you look at California Adventure. Fast. But then also I'm just going to pick, it's TANF, right? Like it's just going 100 miles an hour the whole way. And that's his game. No real other explanation needed for that one. The fifth is going to be Soarin'. What is Soarin' Around the World? Is that the official?
Yeah. They also have a version called Soarin' over California, but we were on Soarin' Around the World.
Well, it's a big immersive screen, right? You're traveling around the world. You're getting to see all these different places. And for me, I picked Joey. I know he likes to use the VR as a sense of warm up, and that gives me a little bit of a VR vibe when you're in the, you're hanging, gliding, but you got the big screen around you. You feel like you're right in the spaces. But I also think about the journey, right? Like you're going around the world, you're seeing all these different places, but you look at his journey, right? Like going from the USHL to Arizona State in the NCAA. He's also played in the East Coast League, the American Hockey League, and now obviously that journey to the NHL. So that ride kind of symbolizes the journey. And, I think Decor's journey is a awesome one, especially when you think about Arizona State and the Mullet Arena, I say the place that Joey built. So
yeah, the house that Joey built. Also, Soarin's like a classic. Like I think like people just like it and it ages well and it's like non-controversial in any way. Like all ages can do it. And
I think so. That was a good one for me. I thought about the VR aspect. The next one would be Smuggler's Run.
Oh.
First of all, I just love Star Wars, so I had to pick a Star Wars ride. But so besides that, if you've never been on it, that's more of a team ride, right? Where you got people that are flying the plane, you got people in the back. So everybody's kind of doing their own thing to kind of complete the mission. And for me, I picked Yanni. He's one of those guys. Yeah. He's a team guy. Every team wants a player like Yanni on their team. And so that's for me why I picked that. But I love that one. I did have an honorable mention for Yanni as well. For me, It's a Small World. I absolutely hate the song. and the characters. Like, it just is annoying to me, like the song.
I think that's a
And then I picked
take.
Yanni for that one too, because he is extremely annoying to play against out on the ice. Personal experience, having him as a teammate and having played against him, he is definitely annoying. So not that he's an annoying person, but on the ice, how he plays. For my honorable mention on that one, I went with the Astro Blasters in Toy Story Mania. Got to be a sniper in that one. I came out in the clutch. I ended up winning barely, but I still won. It's all about precision. You got to have the quick shot. You got to be ready to go, have the aim. And I picked McCann. I feel like that was a easy one for me. Obviously leads Kraken all time when it comes to goals. He's second, or is he third, I think? Or he's got 14 goals this year. Schwartz is leading with 18. But overall, his body of work, especially in a Kraken uniform, definitely, at the top of the list when it comes to scoring. So I thought that, the sniper aspect of those two was definitely a McCann for me. This one, Monsters, Inc., Mike and Sully.
Yeah.
Is that what's the full name on that one? Do you know?
I think it's Mike and Sully to the rescue.
Yep. I knew something about rescue. See, this is why it's good to have you. I'm picking Shane for no other reason that Mike and Sully is my favorite kids ride. Love that movie. And yes, I know he's an adult, but he's the youngest on the team when it comes to that. So I picked him just because it was the young, and the combination between my favorite kid ride and the youngest on the Kraken. Last. Oh no, it's not last. I got two more. Okay. Radiator Springs.
Ooh, Radiator Springs Razor is good ride.
Now the line is terrible at that ride at times, unless you do it. Me and Piper
got
did.
lucky.
We did solo riders.
Okay.
But then they put us in the same cart.
Yeah, we got really lucky.
I don't know how that happened.
And there is a hilarious picture on my Instagram, if you go looking for it, of the ride photo of me and JT on it. We are both making the most ridiculous faces.
I mean, I think for me, when I think about that ride and when we're on that ride, it's just pure fun and enjoyment. Obviously, there's great views, but it just puts a smile. You're smiling the whole time you're going through up and down the valleys. It's fast, but not obviously like a credit coaster fast. But I picked Monty. Like, I just picture like him skating around in warm-ups, which you get to see as well. Always has a smile on his face. He's zooming around, whether he gets on the plane, he's always smiling as well. But then, even practice, bringing that energy. So that for me was one of my favorite rides, but also I feel like it translated to like kind of Monty's personality as well.
There's a little bit of thrill, but it's not a thrill ride. It's not at all a thrill ride, but it is exciting, and it's just a little bit flashy, but it's not a thrill ride.
It's over
perfect.
the top. But and then the last one I did Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
I love that ride. That's one of my favorites.
The Wild Ride is the part, and technically not a player, but it's still part of the organization. I'm going to have Bowie. I mean, it's a wild ride. Obviously, we see Bowie in the stands, all of the antics that Bowie gets up to, and whether it's pulling out the teeth, messing with the opposing team fans as well. And I just thought that kind of encapsulated our Bowie. It was the first thing I thought of when I thought about
stretch with that one.
What?
He's not a player.
Okay.
I like it. I like it.
And I will say, Booker,
Make the troll.
when Booker is asked his favorite player on the Kraken, he says Bowie. So
there we go.
Just saying.
Okay.
Did that one for Booker then.
Shout out Booker.
So those were my 10. And I'm actually glad I got to go first because I feel like your list is going to be very good.
Oh, I don't know.
I thought, it took a while to think these ones out. I thought I had to give myself like a 7.5 on my list.
I think it's great. I think you have a great list. In fact, like, you've made me think a little bit. I'm like, that's some good reasoning there. Some good reasoning.
All right. The photo of you two on this ride that you were talking about is great. I don't know what's better, your face, JT, or your hair, Piper.
I know, it's crazy, but we're both having the time of our life.
Oh, no, you look like the happiest people in the world right there.
I got to find the video of us on the swings, too. We're literally just going around on the swings, just like the biggest grins, just like a couple of kids.
Love it.
That's what Disney's all about. Oh, and there's the Incredicoaster picture, which does go hard. Yeah, JT and I had to do it again and request the front row so that we could get a picture where we were like front and center. It's a great picture. You see it.
I'm going to say though, good. Piper, remember
coordinated.
You said you're like, oh, it's on this turn, and then it wasn't on that turn. It was after that, so I wasn't ready in the first picture.
JT, are you really going to chirp me for not knowing something that detailed about the Disney parks? You know how many questions you asked me when we were walking around? You're like, what's that? What's that? And I had everything, but not the one camera, and you're never going to let me live it down.
You've set a precedent.
Yeah.
I mean,
been right on everything else. it's going to be on the second to last turn as you go down. And I'm like, oh, I'm ready. And then it didn't happen. And then you were saying something. I think you were saying it's actually on this one. And I turned to look at you. So I'm not even like paying attention because I couldn't, it's going fast. You can't really hear what she was saying. And then the picture, I saw the flashes go on. I'm like, oh, yeah, we missed that. We're going to have to hit this ride one more time.
But the picture we did get is awesome.
It's very good.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Your list.
Okay. My list. I feel like you had really, really, really good reasonings for these. So let's see if hopefully I can hold a candle here. So I'm going to start with one which a lot of people might, if you're not like a hardcore Disney fan, you might not care about this attraction. And also keep in mind, I'm going Walt Disney World. So JT did Disneyland and Disney California Adventure. I got all of Walt Disney World to work with, which does give me more options, So I'm going to start with the captain, Jordan Eberle. And I am going to make Jordan Eberle the Carousel of Progress. If you don't know what this attraction is, it is a Walt Disney original attraction. They made it for the World's Fair. And it essentially is like this theater that rotates and it has this Sherman Brothers song, which is very iconic. It's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. It's like this very Disney, but it's all about how technology and communication have like evolved throughout the years. And you kind of follow this family through, but it's still a very, very popular attraction with people who love Disney and know things about Disney because of the spirit of what it represents. And for a lot of people, like it gets better and better and better as it kind of ages because it's so iconic. And to me, like it's a Walt original. I feel like that's kind of like Jordan in the sense, like he's the captain and he, as you know, and similarly as what we'll hear from like Jaden Schwartz, like Jordan has made such an effort to always find ways to level up his game and to like stay relevant and stay strong and stay, contributing. Plus he's the captain and that's like a classic. He's an original Kraken. So I like that one. The Carousel of Progress. That's Jordan Eberle's career in a way.
If you stay like this, it's going to be very well. Because I don't remember that ride. I've been to World. It's been a while, but your explanation had me believing every second of why you chose Eberle. So A+ on the first one.
I thought yours was really insightful, but I think we're...
Oh, she knew everything about the ride.
We're in for a treat here. We're in for a treat.
That was a good first one. You got a lot to live up to after that one, though.
Okay, well, I'm gonna start with my ones I think are the strongest.
Yep.
Okay, so my next one, I'm gonna go with Adam Larson. Okay. And I'm making Adam Larson the monorail, which is not just an attraction, but it is a very important way. Like you might not think of this as like a flashy ride, but it actually serves a very, very important function for everybody that goes to like Walt Disney World. It's also been there from the beginning, just like Adam Larson. And it is very popular. Although, like I said, like it's not like, you don't think of it maybe as like, oh, this is my favorite ride, but like you need this ride and you love this ride and you never want anything to like happen to it. And that's like, it's reliable and also an OG.
Well done.
And very like innovative. So the monorail. I'm going to go to a whole different world here with this one. This is my number 3, Brandon Montour. I am making Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, which is the newest attraction at Walt Disney World. It is at Epcot, and it was a very, very big deal because they wanted to have like a thrill ride at Epcot because that's not exactly like Epcot's thing, right? So it is an awesome roller coaster. It's kind of like Space Mountain, except for the carts actually like turn. It's hard to explain, but also the song changes. So they've got like 7 or 8 different songs, and you don't know what song it's going to be when you get on the ride. So it could be like Conga is one of the songs, September by Earth, Wind, Fire is one of the songs, Everybody Wants to Rule the World is one of the songs, Disco Inferno, like there's all these songs, right? And Monty is not only the locker room DJ, but he is a new addition to the team that has been so much fun and a big, big splash. And that's exactly what this ride has done for Walt Disney World and for Epcot. So anyways, It's extremely popular. A lot of people think it's the best ride that has ever been built ever. I do not necessarily agree with that. That has nothing to do with Monty, but a lot of people think it's like that awesome. So anyway, Cosmic Rewind. And then I'll stay in this vein, but okay. So my next person is Chandler Stevenson, and I'm going to make him Kilimanjaro Safaris, which is a ride at Animal Kingdom. It's actually not really, it's not a ride. It's an attraction, but it is like 25 minutes long, and you actually get like up close and personal with a bunch of animals. But the reason that I picked this is because it's, like I said, it doesn't maybe seem like, oh, that would be like my number one like priority, but it is one of the quietly one of the best attractions that there is. It's very impressive in ways that maybe you don't think of as being the most, flashy as well, if that kind of makes sense. And I feel like Stevie, a lot of people don't maybe see on the surface level what makes him so good and so valuable and so important. I do think a lot of folks are starting to see that more and more and more. But Kilimanjaro Safaris is like one of my like favorite attractions because it's unique and it's awesome. And
I think that was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever done that one?
I haven't done it, but again, your explanations are so good.
Really?
I believe it.
Okay. Well,
Real animals?
yeah, real animals. And it's literally
cool.
like, it's like 25 minutes. And I mean, you'll sometimes get like held up because the giraffes are like in the road and you just have to sit there until the giraffes move, which
Sounds fun.
that has nothing to do with Stevie at
You
all,
really
but
think
it's
they're
just
gonna
like,
have robot animals.
I mean, isn't a lot of that stuff
they
in
have
Disneyland
elephants, they have lions,
robots?
they have white rhinos, and it's like this big like conservation thing too. I don't need to like
The
go
Hall
on
of
and on about.
Presidents- Yeah, the Hall of Presidents doesn't have real presidents. They're all robots. So
Well, the Jungle Cruise has animatronic animals, but no, Kilimanjaro Safaris has real animals. They have cheetahs, like big. It's awesome. It's very awesome. But a lot of people like don't even really pay attention to it. They don't really like, and they'll see like, oh, it has a 90-minute wait. It's like, well, first of all, it's a 25-minute ride or attraction, and it's awesome, and it's one of a kind. So anyway. Next I am going to go to Vince Dunn, and Vince Dunn is rock and roller coaster. I just think, Vince is obviously a player that brings a lot of emotion to his game, and a very like dynamic player, just like fun to watch. And rock and roller coaster, I mean, literally it's like rockin' because of the music, but it also, Vince Dunn has been known to rock out on the ice, one could say. So
Agreed.
Yeah. So there we go with that one. Next one, I have Shane Wright as Flight of Passage. Flight of Passage is one of my favorite rides of all time. It is at Animal Kingdom in the Avatar Land of Pandora, and it is a simulator ride, kind of like Soarin', except for you're on like these bikes and you have these like 3D glasses. It's one of a kind, but it is a ride that a lot of people were a little like unsure of at first and is now a huge hit. And it's already been out for like a decade now. And it's still one of the most popular rides ever. And it just, even people who think that they are unsure about it or aren't like, they're just not sure what they're going to expect with it. It rocks. And I think that's kind of like, I think Shane is somebody that is going to be with this team and is a important part of this team and a very, like the future's bright, you know what I mean? And I think that's kind of what that ride represents as well. So, yeah. How many have I done? I'm like, I don't have my numbered here. So I'm like, I got a whole list here.
Yeah, I started counting mine, and then halfway through, I just stopped with the numbers. But I did 10, so I think you're probably at like 5, 6.
Yeah, hold on. I wrote like
I've been
more than
so
I needed.
engrossed that I lost count. So
Okay, my next one. So this is number 8. Number 8, I have Jamie Alexiak as Living with the Land. Living with the Land is also one of my very favorite attractions. That is at Epcot. It is like an edutainment boat ride, basically, and it goes through like this greenhouse and stuff, but it's all about like nature, and Jamie Alexiak loves nature. So this is a little bit more about the person rather than like the player, but he loves nature, and it's like a low key, awesome ride. And to me also, I think that ride really represents like what Epcot was originally kind of supposed to be about, which is part of why I love it. And Jamie's also like an original Kraken, and that's an original Epcot attraction. So I felt like that one made sense there. And then number 9, I have Brandon Tanev as the Haunted Mansion. I mean, the ghost eyes,
Fair.
the headshot, also the Haunted Mansion. I believe it's not an original like opening day attraction, but it is a very much like early attraction and like a hallmark attraction of all Disney parks. And he is an original Kraken. So I also feel like that one fit as well. And then obviously, yeah, the ghost headshot. And then, okay, so I'm going to have 11. Hopefully that's okay.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay. And then for Oliver Bjorkstrand, I have Toy Story Mania. You had that one for Jared McCann. Similar though, just like it's all about like sharpshooting, accuracy, great shot. So I went Toy Story Mania. And then last but not least, I have Maddie Beniers as Happily Ever After, which is that big fireworks show that I was talking about. It is one of the most, cherished things of people like who love Walt Disney World. When they got rid of this show for the 50th anniversary, people like rioted and they ended up bringing it back, which is not something that most like big corporations would ever do. But it is like when you think of Disney, like you think of an experience like this, you think of the music and all of that. And I think when you think of the Kraken, you think of Maddie Beniers, or for the future. Absolutely. So I wanted like, Maddie and Shane as kind of our young guys to like represent like the future of like the hallmark attractions as well as like the kind of like the history and like the brand identity in that way, if that kind of makes sense.
10 out of 10 for me. That was an awesome list. I think all of them were perfect. Maddie was one of my favorite ones. I like that one. And then, maybe the safari ride. I think that might be my second. There's some really good ones.
It's hard to explain the safari one if you haven't done it because there's just an energy about it that is just, I'm like, that's Stevie. That's Stevie. It's calming.
Even the Ebbs one, like there's so
calming,
many good ones.
but it's awesome. You're just like, oh my God, like you're just like looking at these animals that they're not out in the wild, but they're not in like a zoo, and it's just like, you're like, this is so exciting in a very calming way. And I like feel like that's like Stevie's energy. So.
Oh, that was a very good list.
Yeah, I as somebody who doesn't know anything about any of these theme parks, any of these rides, I feel like I got good explanations. So thanks for letting me into your world.
You need to ride someday Flight of Passage at the Animal Kingdom.
Okay.
It's such an incredible
the Progress
ride.
one sounds
the Carousel
really
of Progress.
up my alley. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
It's kind of like a show and an attraction because it's like a theater that like spins.
Right.
But
is that like the beginning of Jurassic Park where they're going through how dino DNA is made and it's like the whole room spins and you kind of see what they're doing in different labs? Okay.
Actually, kind of, yeah.
That's the image I got in my mind.
It is kind of like that. And it's also interesting because they've picked up the Carousel of Progress and like moved it across the country multiple times because they built it to be at the World's Fair. And then it was in Disneyland for a while, but yeah, it's in Tomorrowland at the Magic Kingdom now. So
neat.
Anyway, and people get a little up in arms when they talk about like renovating it or like updating it because the last show scene, which is supposed to be like modern day, is so it's a little whack because they have like talking, like the oven is like talking and they have like VR headsets, but it looks like it's the 70s because when they made it
that was the future.
you know, but then if you actually try to like update it with like cell phones and stuff, then people are like, well,
hey, we could talk about refrigerators. I mean,
I know, but it's like, do you update it to be accurate to the times or leave it because it's a Walt original? That's where people get a little like,
don't update it.
The progress stopped. Yeah. They're like, we're good.
It's fun to look back at like the optimism of what people thought the future was going to bring as far as technology goes. And the idea of a talking oven, and now we just, our fridge tells us when we're out of milk. So it's pretty close.
Yeah, it is close. It's just a little. It's like a little bit like uncanny
different.
valley.
Yeah.
A little bit. You're like, okay, well, you're near it, but anyway.
I'm still thinking about the talking fridge. All right, I don't know. My fridge does not tell me that I need more milk.
Have you not seen this?
No.
You can get a fridge with a screen on the front of it. And it'll tell you, like, it looks inside at the things that are in your fridge and it says, hey, you're almost out of milk.
I don't want any more screens. I'm done with screens. I would like a flip phone. I don't want any more emails. I don't want any more apps. People are always like, oh, did you see? No, I didn't. If it was online, I did not see it and I don't want to see it.
But you want a podcast app, right? So you can download Signals from the Deep, right?
Well, I just use Spotify for podcasts and also for music. And that is a good app. And
that's the shameless plug I'll give. So right there.
Yeah. I actually love podcasts. I mean, that's like a main way that I like to get information and like stay up to date with things because I don't need to be on a screen to do it. And I can do other things while I get that information. But anyway, I hope everybody enjoyed this. I know it was a little bit different, but we figured with the break, we would do something a little bit fun and kind of connected. So I know I feel like I feel wrong having talked about Disney so much on this podcast, to be honest, myself.
Worlds colliding.
I know. A little bit. All right. Any final thoughts on Four Nations plans? Grant, are you doing anything over the break?
So I will definitely be working one of the weeks. You know, when you guys are all out of town, that's when the IT department gets to do all our fun projects where we fix everything while nobody's here. So I'll have a week on and a week off, but my wife and I, our anniversaries, our 7th wedding anniversary is coming up. And so we're going to head up to Victoria for a few days
nice.
and just kind of enjoy ourselves up there. So
I've
never been. She used to go a lot when she was younger. So it'll be a new experience for me, which I'm very excited about.
Any theme parks there? Or no, just kidding. Just kidding.
There's apparently some really cool English pubs that and one of them's haunted, so we're going to go there. So
wow, like the old Rose and Crown and the World Showcase at Epcot. Just
full circle
pub.
here, full circle.
Just kidding.
Tie it right
me and
back
Jake will definitely be at the Rose and Crown English pub at Epcot, but
Love it.
Anyway, I love it. So with all that being said, we're going to transition now into the interview that we had with Jaden Schwartz. Jaden was awesome and super casual. I think it was it's been nice to get interviews with the players kind of in this setting where it's not like hockey, and we're not all in the locker room and have places to be and things to do. So it was a nice conversation with Jaden Schwartz. Enjoy. Well, welcome to the show, Jaden. We're very happy to have you here on Signals from the Deep. We've been trying to get you on the show for a while, so this feels like a big catch now.
Yeah, you guys are busy. I mean,
We're busy.
You're busy.
You couldn't squeeze me in, so I'm glad it worked out.
So I just wanted to start this by kind of starting from the beginning. Obviously, you chose to sign with Seattle when it was a brand new organization, never played a game, no expectations, plus like a pandemic going on, all those things. What was that moment like for you in your career and kind of what went into deciding to join a brand new franchise?
Yeah, I mean, it was a big change. Obviously, I was in St. Louis my whole career and had some great, times there, great memories. Had some incredible teammates, such an awesome place, met so many amazing people. And then, in my personal life was going through a hard time with, everything that happened. So I was, in a pretty tough spot mentally. And, I was excited for, a new opportunity and had a lot of faith in Ronnie. And I just thought the whole opportunity of coming somewhere new, and the buzz around it and meeting new people. And, obviously it was a big change going somewhere new, switching cities where you don't really know a whole lot of people. So, it was a little bit difficult at first, but, it's been awesome for me. I've really enjoyed my time here. Met some incredible people here. And, obviously we had a pretty amazing run there in the second year and haven't quite gotten back to that point, but, have some ups and downs and we're continuing to grow and learn as a group. But, I've been really thankful for, each opportunity I've gotten so far.
Has it been nice to have Vince Dunn come with you through this process too?
Yeah. Vince is awesome. He's became a good friend of mine and, got to see him as just a young guy coming up and, been on his team, since he's been in the league. So you could see, it's been fun to see his personal game grow, how good he is. And then also meeting, a lot of other great people around here in the organization on the team. It's been fun.
It's been good to see your success so far this year. First on the team in goals, but third in points with 36. And you've been doing this for a while, right? Been able to find success in your 14th season in the National Hockey League. Is there anything different, I guess, that you've started to do as far as like training, or what can you attribute, to your success this late in your career and continuing to find, that consistency throughout in the NHL?
Yeah, I think it's something you kind of learn as you go a little bit. Obviously you can talk to, teammates, but definitely as you get older, you kind of got to approach things a little bit different with your training and, how you look after yourself. And, I've had to, make some adjustments as far as that, but, just continue to, work and grow. And I got a lot of young guys around me now to keep me feeling young, but, I just had to, this year, obviously physically, I haven't had, injuries. I haven't been dinged up as much, which helps whenever you're missing time. It's always a little bit challenging coming back. So, I think mentally that goes hand in hand as well. So, I'm feeling healthy, which has been good, and just enjoying the day-to-day process and, having fun, but, certainly the training and, your diet and little things like that, you definitely have to be aware of for sure.
Yeah, no, it's been fun to watch you in a sense that we know what we're going to get when we see you go in from a game to game situation, trying to find that consistency and how you play. A lot of it is a straightforward game, but every now and then too, you throw in the flash, which it's awesome to see, whether it's, the short angled goals or a nice move, right at the blue line. So you get a little bit of that, hey, I can still do this, but at the same time, like you're that old veteran that knows the game, that's played the game. And obviously you know how to prepare and to get yourself ready for every single game, because it shows out on the ice with that consistency, not having those big ups and downs or swings that way, which has been fun to see. And obviously the numbers they're proving it, right?
Yeah.
They're proving that you can go out there and continue to do it. And you had mentioned the run with St. Louis, and kind of wanted to ask you about that and your experience, and I guess what you can bring to the Seattle locker room as a leader, as a veteran on this team, and how you can use that experience from going, I think it was the last place team in January, and obviously going on an incredible run. And I think everybody thinks that Seattle could be in a different spot right now. You're at where you're at, 7th right now in the wild card, but how can that experience help you, but also your teammates, in the locker room?
Yeah, I think, as a young guy coming to the league, I had a lot of good veterans around me to lean on and learn from. So I was pretty blessed with that, to, watch how they approach games and practices. And every year is a little bit different. We had some other good teams and playoff runs where we didn't quite get over that hump, but, we were in obviously a position that doesn't happen too often, but I think it was just a belief, in each other and everyone buying into, to that team game and, call it pulling on the same rope, and, really just buying into the team game and, realizing that our potential was a lot higher. We just had to be way more consistent. We just needed basically everyone to be better. And, momentum and, in sports and team game is obviously huge. And, it kind of, builds confidence and it builds that belief. So you kind of have to just, dig in together and make sure you're on the same page, and you never know what can happen. In this league, you see teams, we just played Detroit. I think they're on a, 7 or 8 game run, and probably, I don't know what their wild card spot's at, but they're probably right in the mix again. So things happen pretty fast, one way or another. So you just got to make sure you're doing your part and, not lose that belief and just realize, when you're on top of your game and we're playing our game, we could beat anyone. We just got to be more consistent.
Yeah, no, 100%. We've seen that with Detroit. They were at, I think it was Christmas time, they were 29 points. And since then, they've been able to get 31, and they're sitting in the first wild card spot in the East. So a big turnaround. Obviously, the belief is a big thing. And again, having that leadership that the Kraken do have, and obviously anything can turn around, but it's all about that, that next game mentality, not looking too far ahead, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I think we get the break coming up. So it's kind of a little bit weird for everyone, a couple week breaks. We want to take advantage of the 2 games. Obviously every game's important. And then, everyone's going to be, refreshed, get some rest, and, be ready we got a lot of games in March. So it'll be fun to just, play a lot of games and get that push. And that's the funnest time of the year is when you're, every game means so much.
I want to go back to something that you were talking about earlier a little bit, how when you were a young guy leaning on the veterans in the room, kind of learning what it took to be a leader. And now the tables have turned a little bit. And, Matty Beniers specifically, somebody that you've seen just, his career from the very beginning. Now you're more in that veteran leadership position. How have you seen his confidence on the ice, but also in the room and kind of finding his voice develop, particularly like this year?
Yeah. He's been great. I mean, you can tell he's getting more confident. You can tell how much he cares and, how seriously he takes it. He likes to have fun too. Obviously with the guys and around the rink, but he really cares about the game and cares about the team. So he's a big piece for us. And, as a young guy, throughout your whole career, you're going to have ups and downs, right? Like things are going to come sometimes a little bit easier than others, and there'll be ups and downs, but he's a guy who's continued to keep that work ethic, whether they're going good or maybe bounces aren't coming as easy. He's a guy that continues to do the little things. You can see in his game, he takes pride in the little things, that it takes to win. And he's just a great teammate, a great kid. It's fun to watch him grow, as a player and as a leader. And I think Seattle's very lucky to have him, and you can kind of see his energy and wears off on other guys too.
Do you use any kind of insight or anything that maybe you got from your brother when you were playing together in Colorado? Like, has he influenced the way that you maybe kind of play with some of the younger guys?
Yeah. I mean, my whole career I was kind of, I played with age groups up for the most part, so I was usually one of the younger guys. So I was, always aware of how the older guys approach things and what made them successful, both on and off the ice and how they played. So I was always, respected those guys a lot and tried to learn as much as I could. And, my brother was the same way. He was a very focused guy. I always appreciated, how he was an offensive guy, but he took care of other areas of the ice and, whether it's defensively or PK or just doing the little things like I talked about. So he's another guy that I always respected in how he played.
On the broadcast, we've talked about your line and how well you guys have come together, and just maybe wanted to get your perspective. I think we all have our opinions on, what makes you guys such a good line, but, from your perspective, playing with Matty and Kakko as well, what makes you guys so successful? And, obviously it's not always just about the points, but it's great when that happens. But how are you guys been able to find that success? And, what is your identity as a line, or how do you guys see each other out there on the ice?
Yeah. I think both their hockey IQs are very high. They're both, very smart players. They know where to be on the ice, and, they're offensive guys. They're very skilled. But I really like how they put the work in first. They go to the hard areas to score. They back check diligently. They're, they take care of the little things, and, they care about those little things, and it's fun to watch, and just easy to read off of. They're guys that like to move the puck and then get their, move their feet and get open. And I think we just move the puck at the right time. We don't really hang on to it too long. So they're just, sometimes it's kind of hard to explain with players. You just kind of read them, what they're thinking and what they're doing. And it's been fun to play with those guys. They work hard, and I think they play the game the right way.
I have a non-hockey question.
I was going to say.
First of all, so I'm just going to go to golf. What's your handicap is first question. And number two, how come you haven't invited me to come play golf yet?
You haven't invited me to come play golf at your course.
Shots fired.
You're a member.
Fair.
JT's blushing.
Fair.
And I don't know if I can share my handicap because
going up, going the wrong way.
Well, depends who I play, because some guys I play
okay.
they kind of sandbag their handicap a little bit too. So I kind of change mine depending on what they say a little bit, but it's roughly around 6, 7, or 8, depending on.
I was going to say
on the time of the year.
Everyone that I've talked to on the team says that you're by far the best golfer on the team.
No, that's definitely not true.
Are they're chirping you then? You think they're just being sarcastic?
They're probably just saying that. I could name a few others.
Who is
for
then?
Sure. Well, it depends on the day.
Yeah,
Of course.
very true. Very true.
We could shoot anywhere from high 70s to 90s depending on the day. But Eberle's really good. Burkowski's good. Hits the ball a long way. McCann's good.
I think it was Berkey definitely has told me that you're the best golfer on the team. He's for sure told me that.
Well, we're usually partners, so he kind of has to say that.
Oh, okay.
He has to say that about me.
All right. Well, since you brought it up, who is the one that's sandbagging on the team when it comes to when we're talking about the handicaps? Who would be that guy?
Well, I would almost say all of them.
All right, fair enough.
You got to keep an eye on those guys. Tanem's pretty good too. Forgot about him. Dunn's a guy who's better than his handicap.
Okay,
he's pretty good. It's always. I don't know if everyone's plugging their scores in all the time.
Not putting in all of them. All right. Yeah. Well, at least we have it on the podcast. I'll take you out to my course. You got to take me to your course.
Okay. I haven't played yours, but I heard it's nice.
Do you think you can hang with?
Yeah, I'm right around the same. I think I ended last year like a 8 point something. So right around.
All right.
You got your fancy new clubs too that you're all excited about.
I got another set of new clubs.
You got another set?
Yeah. I had the Mizuno 240s, the Masters editions. So they're like kind of like a greenish, like chrome finish. But when you play with blades, when you're on, you're on. And when you're not on, you're not on. So I got the 770s.
Yeah.
So I ordered.
I couldn't believe you're hitting blades.
When I hit them good, it's really good. When I don't hit them, it turns south real quick. So
I
definitely
don't even look at those things.
I shouldn't. I got a little too confident in my golf game, and then I got humbled a little bit. But I'm gonna keep them, just keep them. But at the end of the day, I ended up getting the 770s.
Nice.
One last thing before we let you go as well. I just want to let you know that I'm gonna get you back. All right. I don't know if everybody has seen this yet. It was on the broadcast. Down in warm-ups before the game was getting going, I just got done doing my hit for the pregame show, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this just spray of water comes flying, hits me right in the face, right on the side of my shoulder. Suit's all wet now, and I look over, and who is it? It's Schwartzy, just laughing. Had a nice
You come for his suits. I mean,
he got me.
It's
and
trouble.
Thankfully, we weren't on when you did it. That would have definitely thrown me off. I was happy that at least it was after the hit was done. But I'm still thinking of how I'm going to get you back, so I want you to be on edge. And at some point, I'm going to maybe not return the favor in the exact same way, but I'm going to get you.
I think it would have been better if you were on air, because then it would have been funny. It would have been like, look what Schwartzy did to JT.
I'll have to find the video. I'll ask Shaber to clip it for me, and we'll post it.
Yeah, when I see a nice suit sometimes during warm-ups, I like to.
So I'm going to stop wearing nice suits then. So
Usually
I
it's
stop.
Gatorade, though. You're lucky it was water.
Oh,
Well,
We got Coca-Cola, too. I could have done that. But
someone's going to be paying my dry cleaning if we get the Gatorade or Coca-Cola.
just a fruit punch, punch
gosh.
Gatorade. That'll go mix right in with some of the colors on your suits.
I did appreciate it. It was funny.
I was being nice there.
It was funny. I did get a
You
good
should be
laugh out of
grateful.
it, but yeah, I'm still planning to find a way to get you back.
All right. Well, head on a swivel, Jaden,
Yeah.
because you never know where this guy's coming from. But with that being said, thank you so much for doing this. Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
Happy to finally get you on. So.
Yeah, thanks for finally getting me in here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, JT, now that Jaden has left the room, I am curious if you have any ideas of any pranks. I know that you pull some good pranks.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it, and I'm thinking about something like when we get on the plane, like figure out where his seat is, and haven't quite dialed down the details, but I do love a good prank. It was last year. I remember I think I waited in the garage at Climate Pledge Arena for like 3 hours after the game, waiting forever. And I parked super close to his car. Like I'm talking like
I remember this.
maybe like 7 inches, 8 inches away from his car door, so he couldn't get in his car. So the prank was I had a video of him getting in the passenger seat, having to hop all the way over to get in, so he couldn't get into his car, trying to get in. It was worth the wait. It was hilarious. So I definitely like being on the winning side of pranks, so I'm going to find a way to get him back.
That shows some commitment. 3 hours.
I remember that because I came down. I don't remember what I was doing, but I was a little bit later than normal too. And I just hear like Piper, and you're like up in the ceiling somewhere because you camped out to wait.
Oh yeah, I was because I had to put my phone up there so he couldn't see it because I wanted to record. So I was like up in the rafters,
Of the
basically
parking
like
garage.
taping my phone so that I could be right on the angle to see the cars. Yeah, I put a lot of effort into that one. It might not have been 3. It felt like 3 hours, but like
It's 20 minutes.
might have been. No, it was over an hour for sure. It was over an hour.
I think it was at least 2 because Allison and I went to T.S. McHugh's, shout out, after, and you were still texting us and we were still there. And we were like, oh my God, he's still there? I was
Committed.
like,
So people left and came back, and you were
Yeah, I
still
was still there. I was committed.
impressive.
So I will find a way. I don't necessarily know how, but mark my words, I will get him back.
He's going to be hiding in the bathroom on the plane is what we're going to hear next. So
And we'll see.
I don't know. Maybe you could like enlist like Yanni or Monty to help you with something because you're tight with them.
That's a good play.
maybe
Maybe
they would
even
help
to the equipment staff. That'd be another one to be able to find a way to
yeah.
get after them. And
Yeah.
I
Hey,
think that would be a good way to.
Speaking of the equipment staff, we got to give a shout out to head equipment manager Jeff Camilio, who just completed working his 2,000th professional hockey game. That is crazy. That's such a milestone. So Shout out to Jeff. He's the best. He also does, he does so much and works so hard for the players, but he does a lot to like help us and support us too. And I also do know he has had a hand in some of the funny pranks in the locker room and like the Adam Larson t-shirts. Maybe he may have had a little something to do with.
Okay.
So fans, you might not know Jeff, but I know that you love his work.
Yeah. And he's probably a good ally for you on this.
Well, my brain's it's spinning right now. I'll be thinking of this. I'm just figuring out how we can, or at least I can get back at him.
All right. Well, on that note, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Signals from the Deep. Thank you to both of you, for being here and for being awesome teammates. And we hope wherever you are, you're having a great time. You probably don't have a break, but we are looking forward to talking with you again on the next episode. See you real soon.
Signals from the Deep is the official podcast of your Seattle Kraken and is a proud member of the Kraken Hockey Network. Hosted by Piper Shaw and JT Brown. Music composed by Benny Drawbars. Production by Grant Beery. Have a question for the show? Send an email to signals@seattlekraken.com or call the hotline at 206-279-7810. Your message could be featured on an upcoming episode.